Good afternoon. This is Stormcast from Stormcastle's Comics and Collectibles, and today I'd like to talk about 10 Marvel comics from the 80s that I think could fit well into most everybody's collection who are looking for older books, and that are all at really reasonable prices. Most of these books are only a few dollars. I think the most that I saw is like $8 to $10, but we'll get to that in a minute. So these are books that I feel that, books that some people may not be thinking about, that would fit well in a collection, or it may inspire you to look for more of the series. So, we're going to go with number one, or the first one on the list here, is Outflight number 17. Outflight 17 is a bit of a story where it has a reprint of X-Men 109, which is the first appearance of Weapon Alpha, which was the original code name of Vindicator, or Guardian, and James McDonald Hudson. It reprints a bit of the story about how he goes off and sees Wolverine, but actually what is different in this, because you can always get that in X-Men Classics, a reprint series, is it talks about the thoughts behind Vindicator after he flees the battle, what goes on, his thoughts, and it talks about Wolverine talking to Heather. It's a very good story, and it's not that unreasonable. It's got a reprint of the cover. You can even find it with the black suited Spider-Man direct edition cover. It's pretty good. It gives the people a taste into Outflight. John Byrne was really good at this book, and he had ambivalent feelings either way. But it's really solid. This is, yes, there has been backstory from that happened before, but honestly, a lot of it is pretty much one shot to here that can get you into the series. Next on it is another Outflight. Outflight 25. This just wrapped up a major storyline at the end of it. This is the beginning of a new set storyline. Teases you the team is changed. The team is in change, and things are happening. And honestly, it's a pretty good issue. And I like the cover. I know it's may seem like a plain, but it's honestly a good story. Gets feel Outflight and starts moving in the trajectory that they'll be forward for the next 30 or 40 issues or so. And again, it's not all that expensive. Most people are sleeping on Outflight. I think at some point Outflight is going to show up in the MCU, and all the early books, keys and non-keys, are going to go up. So, it might be something worth looking at now, and maybe getting yourself interested in a brand new series you've never tried before. Next, I'm going to move something a little more mainstream from the 80s. Amazing Spider-Man 249. Now, we've had a reprint of Spider-Man 252, 253, and so forth. This actually starts the 3 issues that set up to Amazing Spider-Man 252 and leads up to the sequence. This would actually be the last Amazing Spider-Man story where he's in his blue and reds. But most importantly, this is a 3-part Hobgoblin story, and this shows Hobgoblin at his best. He's smart, he's intelligent, and shows what his plans are. It will set the tone for where he goes, and I'm only going to recommend the first part of it, because once you read the first part, you're going to want the other ones. And again, these books are not overtly expensive, and I'm really surprised they didn't do facsimile copies of them. But it's a great cover. It's the original Hobgoblin. We've got Kingpin, and Spider-Man does get beaten on. So if you want to read something really good, and because I like the Hobgoblin, he is my favorite villain. Right over here you can see him. Right there, the statue. He is my favorite villain. I'm going to recommend Amazing Spider-Man 260. Now, that is an amazing cover. The next issue is also an amazing cover. It's Hobgoblin standing in a burning building holding over Spider-Man's body. But honestly, neither of the books are very expensive. The reason why I recommend this 260 over 261 is it is a 2-part story. It is setting up. You've got some real great stuff. I've actually seen one of the accounts I follow on Twitter talking about this book and showing off pages and panels. So made me think of it. But honestly, I got the direct edition again, which has the Blackface Spider-Man in it. But it really is a good story. It was very fun. Because I'm doing these all in pairs, we're going to go to another different series. We're going to jump over to something that, honestly, most people probably don't think about. And honestly, it's the Fantastic Four John Byrne style. Now, John Byrne was a great creator of the Fantastic Four. This sets up a two-part story where Doctor Doom helps Terrax get back his power. And I gotta say, it's a nice cover. The next cover is a blue cover. The Mask of Doom. But this is a great book. Gets you into the field. This is just a few issues. Secret Wars it sets up to these two, and then it sets up the trial of Reed Richards. It's a great book. It's really enjoyable. They're relatively easier to find and get a hold of. And you can get part 1, then you get part 2, and then it pays off again. These stories pays off in about 20 issues or so later, 20, 21 issues later. And because I'm doing these in pairs, we're going to go with Fantastic Four 265. Deals with a She-Hulk joins the Fantastic Four. What's really nice about this is it's very more character driven. We get very much there. It's a backstory, and about what goes on inside the Baxter Building. And unfortunately, Paste Pot Pete decides to try his luck because the Fantastic Four is out of town. And, Paste Pot Pete, the Trapster, is kind of a joke character for very specific reasons. But this is a good book. And, it teases. The issue after is Doc Octopus showing up on the cover. And it's a pretty good book. Next, we're going to jump over into Iron Man. It says, in the morning, Tony Stark will be sober or dead. I remember seeing this on the spinner rack when I was a kid. And I was just blown away. It was just an amazing kind of thing. It's during the storyline where Rhodey is Iron Man. Tony Stark is falling deeper and deeper into his darkness. And this shows us Tony Stark at his lowest. And what honestly makes him stand back up and get better. It's a great book. Honestly, I can't believe it's like $5 or $6. It's not that expensive. From I looked at prices, and it's a great story. There is a little bit of Iron Man in it, but it's a Tony Stark and him getting better. Next, because we're doing pairs, I have another Iron Man. Iron Man number 225. Now, this is a great issue. I love the armor. I love the Silver Centurion armor. We got a brief tease of it in Iron Man 2 with the one he takes out the car. I always liked that armor. I thought it was pretty good. This says Total War, and it's what's called the Stark Wars. Everybody calls this the Armor Wars. That's the unofficial title everybody calls it. But this starts it. This isn't fairly expensive right yet, but with the Rhodey movie coming out, Armor Wars, this book is going to go up. This sets up a lot. It shows how he and Cap eventually they'll part as friends. He goes rogue. It's a real good book. There was changes to Iron Man. There were changes to Captain America at the same exact time. And unfortunately, this armor goes away, which is towards the end of the run, which is a shame because I love the Silver Centurion armors. One of my favorite early Iron Man armors. Again, it's not that expensive, and, it will, when the Rhodey movie comes out, go up. Now, the next two, I'm pulling the Avengers out. I'm a big Avengers person, going alphabetical. It's kind of easy. Iron Man, we could go to Thor, but we're going to go to Uncanny X-Men. Now, this is Uncanny X-Men 175. It's not that expensive. It's a great Dark Phoenix, Madeline Pryor story early on. I mean, that is an amazing cover. If you look at it, that is a great cover. We get to see the Phoenix, the X-Men go up against one of their greatest foes. It's good. It's a nice setup for a storyline that happens. It's a fun story. It's a good read. Takes place in 174 and 175. And I know I showed the first part of the other ones, but this one's a much better cover, and you get most of the gist of it right here. I do recommend picking up 174, but this book here, I remember that when I saw this, it just blew my mind. The last book is X-Men Annual number 9. It's a part of multi-part story that had the X-Men Flight crossover, and there was New Mutant Special, and this is the one where Storm gets a copy of Thor's hammer, or a copy thereof. She recently reappeared like this in the Modern Thor. It's a good Storm book. It's not that pricey. It's always nice when Storm gets some love. But anyways, those are 10 books that I think that would add well to anybody's collection. Especially if things that people may not necessarily be hunting, may not be in their forethoughts. But said this was a great book. They're all really good books. They're fun reads. And they're all fairly inexpensive at this point. And anyways, I just wanted to give you some enjoyment, to show you a few things that I stand out. Those are 10 books that I think that would enhance anybody's collection. And the Stormcastle, have a nice one.